Hello YouTube, it's your boy B3 back with another kicking graphic novel review. Naughty Cat's here with us today also. Say hey Naughty. She says oh hello mine papa. And today we have our Marvel book that I've been saying I would do. It's one from the year like 2000, 2001, but it still holds up very well, and it's one of my favorite Marvel characters also. The Sentry. Yes, the Sentry book is really cool. And I really enjoy it. It's a great book. The art is just so powerful. Such powerful panels in this book. Like, it really holds up. Adore it. And he has a current ongoing series right now. And I am going to read that when its first trade drops also. I will be doing that. At the time of recording, this is not even really close to the trade drop. But who knows how close it'll be when this comes out. Anyways, I'll read you the back of the book. You're the greatest hero of the Marvel Universe. So why doesn't anyone remember you? Your name is Bob Reynolds. You prefer cartoons over CNN. You drink too much and are 30 pounds overweight. You're afraid of heights, hate crowds, and your wife blames you for your dog's moodiness. And you know you were once a superhero. You were the Sentry. But then something terrible happened. Something that threatened all life on Earth. Something that caused your best friend, Mr. Fantastic, the leader of the Fantastic Four, to betray you. Now it's happening again, and the Sentry must return. But at what cost? Join the acclaimed creative team of Inhumans for another epic of personal and cosmic proportions. Writer Paul Jenkins and artist Jay Lee create an odyssey unlike any seen in the superhero lore, reprinting Sentry 1 through 5, Sentry Fantastic Four, Sentry X-Men, Sentry Spider-Man, Sentry Hulk, and Sentry vs. the Void. Whew. I really loved this book. I have it on Kindle. I have the trade collection on Kindle, but I do have one single issue physical that I got from a dollar bin, and I really loved that issue, and that issue is the reason I wanted to read this, and the reason I like the Sentry so much in the first place. One of the whole reasons I read Justice League Dark was because the Sentry was in it, and I will be reading New Avengers as well. Sentry's in that also. But yeah, this is a really good book. It's a big mystery, so the entire world has forgotten him, and he's like getting his powers back a little bit, and he's going around telling superheroes that they need to remember him, and it turns out there is a big conspiracy. Then, as it turns out, other superheroes made the world forget he exists, made him forget he exists, and all this stuff to stop a being called the Void. Because Sentry is a being of light, like Superman if he were a junkie. He's like directly based on Superman. But he gets his powers from this serum, and the serum kind of gives him some problems, and there's a poison in the serum also. And spoiler alert, that poison manifests itself as the Void. The Sentry is a being of light, the Void is a being of darkness, and the Void and the Sentry are the same being, but split personality and different power sets, and they can manifest themselves both at the same time. So as much good as the Sentry does, the Void does an equal amount of evil, and every time the Void appears, it's exponentially stronger. Exponentially stronger. Because you see flashbacks to the Void in this where it's relatively weak. Relatively. And then the Void we see at the end of this book is the size of a hurricane and is destroying entire cities. It's crazy. But so they all figure out that the whole way to stop the Void and the whole reason they made themselves forget Robert Reynolds in the first place was to stop the Void. So they go back to his watchtower and they make the whole world forget him again. However, we do know that the Sentry does return by popular demand later. Oh, where you going, girl? Oh, she says, I'm going to go do stuff. I'm going to go poop. He does return by popular demand. He'll be in New Avengers, Dark Avengers. He'll be in his solo title that's currently ongoing. Which he returned it in a Doctor Strange book, but he has his own solo title, which I can't wait to read because I love Sentry. He's such every time the Sentry appears in comics, he's either super interesting or super boring. There's no in between. Because there are some times where it's just like, man, Sentry's so strong we don't know how to write him. That's a problem some authors have with Sentry. He's so strong they don't know how to write him. I was thinking, like, by the time Sentry died at the end of Siege and stuff, he was manipulating molecules. His healing factor could bring him back after he'd been turned to ash. It was pretty crazy. they just kept making him more and more and more and more powerful. And in this book, it says he was actually the first superhero ever in the 616 universe, right? The first superhero ever. And then all those superheroes looked up to him, which is very similar to Superman. I mean, he's got a big-ass S on him. What you gonna do? But this book was fantastic. The writing was great. I'll excuse the excessive amount of narration since it's about 2 decades old. I'll excuse the excessive amount of narration. You know, that's one complaint I have about lots of modern comics is if they have too much narration. Recently I reviewed some books that I thought did, but yeah. I think this book was very good, and I highly recommend it to anyone who wants to read it. So that's it. Thank you all very much for your support. Remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. Check out all the cool links in the description below. Facebook, Twitter, etc. I do not know what I'm going to read next. It might be something with the symbiote. It might be New Avengers. I really want to go reread Dark Knight's Metal and do that. I don't know. What do you guys want? Let me know in the... excuse me. Let me know in the comments section below what kind of book you want me to do next. So that's it. Thank you all once again for your support, and I'll see you all later.